Hey everyone, SOB from SOB Sims here, back for another quick video about my upcoming DCS campaign, Century Pacific 2025. I just want to say thanks to everyone in the community for all the support and great feedback on the videos so far. In my background video, I mentioned my time serving in the US Air Force, but today I wanted to dig a little deeper into that. Specifically, the difference between the Active Duty, the Air National Guard, and the Air Force Reserve. Since I've got to serve in all three of those branches, I thought this video might shed some light on the differences. In this campaign, you'll be stepping into the role of an Air National Guard pilot. To help set the stage, I wanted to give you a quick breakdown of how the different components of the United States Air Force are structured. This isn't the first DCS campaign to simulate an Air National Guard unit. If you played Reflected's excellent Arctic Thunder campaign, you've already flown as a pilot in the Ohio Air National Guard's 112th Fighter Squadron. That said, terms like Active Duty Air Force, Air National Guard, and Air Force Reserve can be confusing, especially for those outside the US who might not be familiar with how the American military is organized. So let me explain the differences in plain English. It won't directly affect your DCS gameplay, but it might give you a bit more context if you're curious about how it all fits together. Oh, and before I forget, check out Mover on YouTube if you haven't already. He does a lot of these videos and explains in much more detail the differences. Okay. Most people who say they're in the Air Force full-time are active duty. That's their career. The Air Force decides where they live, what base they're assigned to, and when they deploy. It's a 24/7 commitment. They eat, sleep, and breathe the Air Force. Think of it as a full-time, all-in career track. Now, the Air National Guard's a little different. Most Guard members serve part-time, typically 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year, in what's called a traditional guardsman. But here's the key difference. They don't just report to the President. They also answer to their state's governor. That means in addition to federal missions like combat deployments, they're often the ones responding to wildfires, hurricanes, and other state emergencies. They wear two hats, one for their state and one for their nation. In many ways, they're the modern-day citizen airmen, part of a militia that serves both state and country. Now it gets a little more complex. Although most Guard service is part-time, many roles within the Air National Guard allow you to serve in a full-time, active duty capacity, in both an active Guard Reserve, active duty status, and as a Air National Guard technician, which is basically a GS employee in a full-time status as well. All while still being affiliated with your state. And in times of war or national emergency, the President can federalize the Guard, pulling them under federal control. Clear as mud? Okay, let's add one more layer, the Air Force Reserve. Like the Guard, most reservists serve part-time on the same 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year model. But unlike the Guard, they answer only to the federal government. Their role is to support and augment the active duty Air Force when extra manpower or aircraft are needed. Together, the Air National Guard and the Air Force Reserve make up what's called the ARC, the Air Reserve component of the US Air Force. Here's a simple analogy. Active duty, full-time employee. Air National Guard, part-time employee who works for both the state and the federal government. Air Force Reserve, part-time employee who works for the federal government only. It's also worth noting that many Air National Guard units are more independent. They operate their own aircraft, often with state-specific tail flashes. In contrast, many reserve units are classically associated with active duty wings, flying the same aircraft and sharing missions. Some Guard units do this too, so there's always exceptions. I know that's a deep dive, maybe more than most DCS players care to know, but since I served in the active duty, the reserve, and the Air National Guard, I thought it might be helpful to share what makes each one unique. A lot of folks looking to join the military, especially aspiring aviators, often overlook the Guard and Reserve. I know I did, but honestly, it's one of the best kept secrets in military aviation. If you've got questions about the differences or even serving in the Active Duty, the Guard, or the Reserve, feel free to drop them in the comments. Thanks for flying with me today, and I'll see you in the Viper cockpit soon. Stay tuned to the channel for updates about my upcoming DCS campaign, Century Pacific 2025. SOB out.